Welcome to Olympian Water Testing, giving you the best in water analysis. Today we're looking at EWG, mapping the PFAS contamination crisis. We have new data showing that 2,858 sites in 50 states and 2 territories have PFA contamination. So what did they find as an update of March 14, 2023? The EPA recently proposed new limits to tackle drinking water contamination from toxic forever chemicals known as PFAS. The proposal targets 6 notorious PFAS: PFOA, PFOS, PFNA, PFX, HS, PFBS, and Gen X. The limits, known as maximum containment levels, or MCLs, are the highest level of contaminant allowed in drinking water. And the MCLs are announced as 4 parts per trillion, or PPT, for PFOA, and 4 ppb per trillion for PFOS. And for the other 4 PFAs, the agency is proposing using a hazard index, which is a tool used to address cumulative risks from mixtures of chemicals. So why is all of this important? Why are they doing this? The number of U.S. communities confirmed to be contaminated with the highly toxic fluorinated compound known as PFAS continues to grow at an alarming rate. Now, as of June 2022, 2,858 locations in 50 states and 2 territories are known to be contaminated. And the latest update of the iterative map of PFAS pollution in public and private water systems is here. You can actually take a look and see right here the key of all the PFA contamination. And information has more stuff. They've added more agencies in Colorado, New Hampshire, North Carolina, Ohio, and other states. So what is the government doing in particular? The Environmental Protection Agency has known about the health hazards of PFAS for decades, but has failed to limit PFA discharges into the air and water or set cleanup standards. The agency recently woefully adequately plans for PFAS action plan in 2019. That failed to include deadlines for action, and the EPA has made little progress. The Department of Defense, the DoD, has been testing for PFAS at military installations, but has made little to no progress cleaning up any contaminated bases. President Joe Biden has promised to tackle PFA contamination by regulating the chemicals in drinking water, designating PFAS as hazardous substances under federal law Superfund, and stopping government purchasing of some products containing PFAS and funding additional research into chemicals. In March 2021, the EPA announced it would regulate 2 PFAs, PFOA and PFOS, the 2 most notorious PFAS chemicals in drinking water. But it could take years before these regulations are final. And in April, the EPA Administrator Michael Regan announced the formation of the EPA PFAS Council, tasked with identifying agency action priorities within 100 days. The Council's recommendations have not been made public, and the EPA added 175 PFAs to the Toxic Review Inventory, or TRI, in response to a congressional mandate. A listing in TRI requires facilities to report releases of those PFAs in the environment, but manufacturers appear to be taking advantage of a loophole to evade reporting requirements. In October, the EPA released a PFAS strategic roadmap that includes accelerating efforts to set a national drinking water standard for PFOA and PFOS by 2023. And the plan also proposes designating PFOA and PFOS as hazardous substances under the Superlaw Fund. It pledges to close loopholes that allow companies to hide PFA releases from the public. And Congress, in addition, has introduced dozens of bills to monitor the scope of PFAS contamination, ban non-essential uses of PFAS, address ongoing PFA contamination, and clean up legacy PFAS solution. So this is a good start, and definitely it's good that the EPA is taking note of this, but the issue is it's still in a lot of water for many Americans. That's why it's always a good idea to test your water for forever chemicals.